Hello, One Piece enthusiasts. I'm the One Piece nerd, and today let's talk about One Piece chapter 1066. So, where do I start? I start with Robin because she is literally the center of attention. Robin, it's been a very, very long time that we've actually seen Robin express so many different emotions in like one chapter or in any arc after Enies Lobby, because it's crazy though. Last time Ohara and Professor Clover was mentioned was in Enies Lobby. That's when she had to go through the Thomas Edison experience, and she never really had to remember the worst day of her life until now, when she's actually forced to deal with whatever happened that day. And thank Oda, Saw is still alive. I mean, I did expect Saw to be alive. I'm not disappointed. I'm not shocked either, because you look at what Aokiji has been doing. I've been making a lot of Aokiji and Sword videos, so it's sort of obvious that, Aokiji wouldn't want to, just freeze his best friend forever. So it makes perfect sense as to why Saw would be alive, and it's also great that we've been set up for Elbaf. This is literally the only thing I needed for us to basically solidify that the next arc would be Elbaf. And moving on from this part onwards, one thing I do want to address is the man marked by flames. So in what I think about Saw being in hiding, like Dr. Vegapunk said that Saw wasn't in hiding because obviously he was targeted and he helped out Robin escape and everything. Obviously you'd want someone like that to be in hiding. So when Kate and Law mentioned the man marked by flames, I don't think it's Saw, because I expected the fourth poneglyph to be in Elbaf, especially with all the documents from Ohara and every book that was thrown out from the Tree of Knowledge was in that lake. And speaking of that lake, I'll get to that in a bit. So if everything is in Elbaf, I'd expect the fourth poneglyph to be in Elbaf as well. But for the man marked by flames, that being Saw, makes very little sense, because one, no one's supposed to know about his existence after Ohara, and I don't imagine him getting a scar anytime soon because he was frozen, not scarred. With that being mentioned, Marines, world government, and their execution to every plan. A few months back, someone commented on my video saying that the world government is basically being the world government is never perfect in its execution. They're always laid back, and everything that they do is always so half-assed. I couldn't agree with him at that time. Now I do, because what? Navy soldiers, you guys are supposed to know that Ohara was Buster called because they were doing something bad and because of their knowledge. Or are the Navy not privy to the fact that the world government destroyed Ohara because of what they had gained? And for a Marine to just say, these books were nothing. I mean, these they're probably damaged by water or something. We shouldn't be bothered about it. But anyone with the knowledge of why Ohara was destroyed in the first place should have at least one sense of mind to at least report it to any of the higher-ups to say that there are books in the lake. What do we do with them? They just left it there for months. And thank heaven and thank I don't know who. Thank for their Marine stupidity that the books are still there. So there are things yet to be revealed. Look, Robin was a part of Ohara. She learned scriptures, but I don't think she knows the full extent of the full history, and it's entirely possible that some of the books that were thrown out in the lake contains information about the Void Century that maybe Professor Clover dug up. Maybe he's been doing research on this for a very, very long time, and I wouldn't be surprised if we found more interesting information from the books rather than the poneglyphs themselves. And it's gonna be one hell of a ride if we get to Elbaf from here. And speaking of more things that I really want to talk about is, well, Dragon. So Dragon being a part of the Marines was a huge theory. It's still likely. I'm not saying that is still out of the question, because we saw this 22 years ago and Dragon was 35 maybe. So Dragon was a part of the Freedom Fighters, and about the history of Dragon and Dr. Vegapunk, it goes way back. It goes way back, even before the revolutionary armies were formed. I suspected that Dr. Vegapunk would be in alliance with the revolutionaries because of his findings, and they just happened to cross paths, but this makes more sense. Dr. Vegapunk and Dragon were acquaintances, friends, or whatever, way before the revolution. Not way before, but I would say a little bit way before the Ohara incident and before Dragon formed the revolutionaries. With that being said, and the way it's framed, it's like Dr. Vegapunk could have joined Dragon if he was a little more concrete with his plans and if he had a little more funding, which probably he didn't. So he decided to go with the world government in order to find the history for himself, and he thought that there would be good people in the Marines, which there are. I'd give him the benefit of the doubt that yes, there are good people in the Marine that would be interested in knowing the true history and not accept the world government for as it is. Like Aokiji, for example, Aokiji, Fujitora, every single one of them, like both of them especially, and even Smoker for that matter, even I would say Kobe, would at some point question the authority of the world government, and he wasn't entirely wrong. And with that being said, we don't know where their relationship stems from. Like, they could go like to being childhood friends or something. And another thing that actually makes a lot more sense is Dragon wanting to create the revolutionaries after the Ohara incident, because before that, yes, Ohara was, the world government definitely was doing something very bad from the get-go, from the Void Century, and now it's like they've basically crossed the line where Dragon could just sit still and say that, it'll get fixed. No, he'll fix it himself, and he's been trying for, 22 years, which is insane. So, with that being said, Dr. Vegapunk, he looks like Albert Einstein and Newton combined. I should have expected that. Most of us should have expected that. It's Oda. It's Oda coming up with the most brilliant man in the world of One Piece. Who else do you think he'd parody? Einstein, duh, it makes a lot of sense. I like his design a lot. Like, if Shaka was his main body, I wouldn't be disappointed, but it's not mind-blowing and hilarious. What's hilarious is whatever Oda came up with after that. And I really, really enjoy it. I loved his design, and I'd like to know what you guys feel about it as well. Moving on from Dragon, it's like everything adds up now. Everything's starting to add up. Like, Sanji also begins to question Dr. Vegapunk as well about Kuma saving them and why did they, why did you do this to Kuma, or with everything that's been going on, why did you help us and everything, it's still up in the balance, it's still up in the question, and I feel like they'll be answered very soon. But speaking of Void Century, another theory that's been also confirmed, like, it's not a theory, but the Ancient Kingdom and the world government had a fight. The 20 kings had a fight. There was a battle where the world government won, and it's specifically clarified that the Ancient Kingdom were the ones with technology, and I like to suspect they were also the ones with the ancient weapons. But what did the world government have? What in the world did the world government have for them to be able to beat the Ancient Kingdom, eradicate every single one of its existence from history, other than the poneglyphs, and basically maintain a monopoly when it comes to power in the world of One Piece? It's sort of insane to think about. I want you guys to put your ideas in the comments below. Is it the whatever thing Emu had, or is it, or did the ancient weapons did belong to the world government? What in the world is happening right now? And moving from, with everything being said, and another thing that my mind is going all over the place, but the one thing I want to end on is Luffy. So Dr. Vegapunk said, "It's about time I meet you, son of dragon." It's like Dr. Vegapunk was expecting Luffy from the get-go. So every single time where Luffy is known by his father's name, it's always like they were waiting for him. Rayleigh was told by Shanks, duh. But for Shanks, it was the Luffy speech. But when it comes to like Akainu or Kuma or Dr. Vegapunk, it's like every single one of them expect like Luffy to be this figurehead power just like his father, who would be doing almost the same thing as he is, but only in a different mindset. So I'm really fascinated about the idea of what Dr. Vegapunk was waiting for. I want to know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be some lore dropping stuff, jaw dropping stuff as well. I wonder what Dr. Vegapunk wants to show the Straw Hats. I wonder what Dr. Vegapunk wants to say to Luffy, and I want to see what justification he has for, Kuma, whatever he did to Kuma. This is all for the video. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to like and subscribe. I have more pumping videos coming right up. If we reach 100 subs, I'm gonna make the best theory video that I've made so far on this channel. And if you wanna see that coming true, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Until next time, peace.